The lights inside the theater glow a little brighter as the next act is announced, and a low ripple of laughter spreads through the crowd when the name is read out. A few people clap politely, already leaning back in their seats, expecting something light, something playful. The kind of act that makes you smile for a moment and then forget it ever happened. From the wings, a young Filipino boy steps onto the vast AGT stage, and for a split second, he looks almost too small for it. The stage feels huge beneath his feet, the ceiling impossibly high, the spotlight heavy on his shoulders. He pauses near the center, gripping the microphone with both hands as if it might slip away. His jacket is simple, nothing flashy, nothing designed to impress. It doesn't scream star, it whispers ordinary. Somewhere in the audience, a quiet chuckle breaks the silence, followed by a few amused murmurs. Someone leans toward a friend and whispers the word Elvis, like it's a punchline. The boy hears it. He doesn't react, but his jaw tightens just enough to show he understands exactly what people are thinking. At the judges' table there's a familiar energy, relaxed, casual, almost playful. One judge raises an eyebrow, another smiles politely, already preparing the kind of comment that comes after a novelty act. Simon Cowell leans back in his chair, arms loosely crossed, lips curved in a half-smile that says he's seen this before. Impersonators, tributes, throwback acts, they come every season. Some are fun, most are forgettable. This one, at first glance, seems no different. The boy introduces himself, his voice soft but steady. There's a hint of nerves in it, the kind you can't completely hide, no matter how much you rehearse. When he mentions Elvis, a few more laughs ripple through the crowd. Not cruel, not loud, just enough to sting. The camera cuts to the audience, where faces show mild curiosity mixed with doubt. A couple of people exchange looks that say, "This should be interesting," but not in the way that leads to goosebumps. More in the way that leads to a joke shared on the way home. He shifts his weight from one foot to the other, taking in the size of the room, the thousands of eyes locked on him. For a brief moment, it feels like time slows. He inhales deeply, and you can see his chest rise and fall beneath the jacket. His fingers tighten around the microphone, knuckles whitening. This isn't just a stage to him, it's a line between being dismissed and being heard. The background music hasn't started yet, the silence stretches, long enough to make people uncomfortable. A cough echoes from somewhere in the balcony. Simon tilts his head slightly, still relaxed, still amused, waiting for whatever comes next. The boy lowers his gaze for a heartbeat, almost like he's grounding himself, remembering why he's here. Maybe it's the years of singing alone, practicing in small rooms, dreaming of moments like this. Maybe it's something heavier, a need to prove that he's more than what people see at first glance. The lighting shifts subtly, softening, drawing focus to the center of the stage. The laughter fades, replaced by curiosity. The boy raises the microphone closer to his mouth, and for just a second, his eyes close. When he opens them again, there's a quiet determination there. Not arrogance, not confidence born from applause, but the kind that comes from knowing you have something real to give, even if no one believes you yet. Around him, the room holds its breath without realizing it. The smiles at the judges' table begin to settle. The audience leans forward ever so slightly. Whatever they expected, a joke, a tribute, a harmless impersonation, suddenly feels uncertain. The boy stands still, centered beneath the spotlight, ready to turn doubt into silence. The first note doesn't explode into the room. It arrives quietly, almost cautiously, like it's testing the space before claiming it. The sound is warm, deep, and unexpectedly controlled, and it cuts through the lingering doubt like a blade through fog. In an instant, the soft murmurs vanish. The laughter from earlier feels distant now, misplaced. The boy's voice isn't rushed, and it isn't trying to impress. It simply exists, steady and grounded, filling the theater in a way no one saw coming. As he continues, each word lands with intention. This isn't an imitation stitched together from old recordings or borrowed mannerisms. There's no exaggerated swagger, no forced vibrato meant to sell the illusion. Instead, there's restraint, a confidence that comes from understanding the song rather than copying it. His tone carries a weight that feels far older than his years, as if the emotions behind it have been lived, not learned. The audience begins to shift in their seats, drawn in despite themselves. The cameras cut to the judges' table. One judge leans forward, elbows now resting on the desk, eyes narrowed not in doubt, but in focus. Another's smile fades into something more serious, more attentive. Simon Cowell's half-smirk disappears entirely. He straightens just a little, arms uncrossing, his gaze fixed on the boy at center stage. This isn't what he expected, and that realization shows clearly on his face. The boy's posture changes as the song unfolds. The nerves that clung to him moments ago loosen their grip. His shoulders drop, his breathing settles, and the microphone becomes an extension of him, rather than something he's holding onto for safety. Each phrase flows into the next with a calm authority, and the room seems to adjust around him. The massive stage no longer dwarfs him, instead, it feels like it was built for this moment. In the audience, phones that were raised casually at the start are now held steady, forgotten in mid-air. People stop whispering. A woman in the front rows presses a hand to her chest without realizing it. A man a few seats over shakes his head slowly, eyes wide, as if trying to make sense of what he's hearing. This voice doesn't feel like a performance. It feels like a confession, carried on melody. The boy reaches into the lower register, and the sound resonates through the floor, through the seats, through the bodies of everyone listening. It's the kind of note you don't just hear. You feel it vibrate in your ribs. The room seems to shrink, pulling everyone closer to the center of the stage. For a brief stretch of time, there is no competition, no judges, no crowd. There is only a voice telling a story. Simon's expression shifts again, this time into something harder to read. His eyes don't blink, his jaw tightens slightly, not with criticism but with attention. He's no longer evaluating whether this act will make it to the next round. He's listening, truly listening. The kind of listening that only happens when something unexpected demands it. As the melody builds, the boy doesn't push his voice beyond its limits. He holds back just enough, letting the emotion do the work instead of volume. That restraint makes the performance heavier, more powerful. It's clear he understands the danger of overdoing it, of turning something genuine into spectacle. He chooses honesty instead, and the effect is devastating. A judge glances sideways at Simon, searching his face for a reaction, and then looks back at the stage, eyes slightly glassy. The audience remains eerily still. No one coughs, no one shifts. Even the air feels suspended, as if the theater itself is afraid to interrupt. The boy opens his eyes wider now, scanning the room for the first time since he began. He meets the gaze of the crowd, not with bravado, but with quiet intensity. This is his moment, and he knows it. Every note that follows carries that awareness, not pride but purpose. He isn't here to surprise them anymore, he's here to move them. As the final phrase of this section fades, the sound lingers, echoing softly against the walls. There is no applause yet, no cheering to break the spell, just the unmistakable sense that something has shifted, that expectations have been shattered beyond repair. Whatever this act was supposed to be, it has become something far greater, and everyone in the room can feel it. The final note leaves his mouth and seems to hover in the air, suspended between the stage and the audience, refusing to disappear. It fades slowly, not collapsing into silence but dissolving into it, like a breath exhaled after a long confession. For a moment that feels far longer than it should, no one moves, no one claps. The stillness is so complete that it becomes almost physical, pressing against the chest, filling the ears with its own quiet hum. The boy lowers the microphone slightly, his hands trembling just enough to show how much he has given. His eyes search the darkness beyond the lights, trying to read faces he can't fully see. He isn't smiling, he isn't bowing, he's simply standing there, waiting, unsure whether what he felt was shared or only his own. The spotlight feels hotter now, heavier, as if the stage itself is holding him in place. At the judge's table, reactions unfold in slow motion. One judge's mouth is slightly open, as if words were forming but never arrived. Another blinks rapidly, eyes glossy, hands folded together in front of their face. Simon Cowell remains still, his posture different from before, no longer relaxed, no longer casual. He sits forward, elbows on the desk, fingers interlaced, staring at the boy with an intensity that strips away every trace of skepticism. The silence stretches, long enough to become uncomfortable, long enough to make the audience question whether they are allowed to break it. Somewhere in the back, someone inhales sharply, and the sound carries far in the quiet room. The boy swallows, his throat dry, his heart pounding so loudly he's certain the microphones must be picking it up. For a fleeting second, doubt flickers across his face. Did he do enough? Did they understand? Then a single clap cuts through the stillness. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, but it's real. Another follows, and then another, until the sound begins to spread like a ripple across water. The audience rises almost as one, the applause swelling into something thunderous. Cheers erupt, sharp and sudden, breaking the spell and replacing it with raw release. People stand, hands above their heads, shouting words the boy can't hear over the noise, their faces lit with disbelief and awe. The boy's eyes widen, and he brings the microphone back to his chest, as if holding on to it might steady him. His shoulders shake as the weight of the moment finally lands. This isn't polite applause, this isn't encouragement, this is recognition. The kind that tells you the room has changed because of what you just gave it. The judges stand now. One presses a hand to their mouth, shaking their head in disbelief. Another claps with a smile that trembles at the edges. Simon rises more slow. Lie deliberately, his expression unreadable at first. Then he nods. Not quickly, not for show. A slow, measured nod that carries more weight than any standing ovation. It's the nod of someone who has been proven wrong and respects the truth of what just happened. The boy exhales, a long breath he didn't realize he'd been holding, and a small, stunned smile finally breaks across his face. Tears gather in his eyes, catching the light, and he blinks them back, overwhelmed. He bows his head slightly, not as a performance, but as a quiet thank you, to the audience, to the judges, to the moment itself. As the applause continues, the atmosphere in the theater feels different, charged, alive. People turn to each other, shaking their heads, mouths moving rapidly as they try to put words to what they just witnessed. This wasn't a joke act, this wasn't a novelty. It was something honest and rare, the kind of performance that lingers long after the lights go down. Simon steps forward, resting his hands on the desk, and for a brief second, he looks almost reflective. This is the silence he talks about. The kind that comes before greatness is acknowledged, the kind that can't be forced or faked. The boy on that stage didn't chase applause. He earned it by daring to be real. The boy stands there bathed in light, applause crashing around him like waves, and for the first time since he walked onto the stage, he looks completely at peace. Whatever happens next, whatever words are spoken, whatever decisions are made, this moment belongs to him. He didn't just give AGT goosebumps, he gave them a reminder of why moments like this matter at all.